gonna randomly pop.
Yeah, about 10 minutes, 8:15 or so. Good evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, with me is always Mr. Bobby Blunts. Bobby, what a weekend it was at the glorious Apex, you could say. Taira, is that how you say his name? I believe.
And I'll leave that to you, but yeah.
Huh? Yeah. Easy. He had a nice win, but I thought his comments after the fight were more. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. More impressive, but just more interesting. He kind of called out Pantoja. Said he felt like he was going to beat him. He could beat him. Thought that he could beat Josh Van. He was more talented than Josh Van. But this is a guy who lost his last time out. Lost to Brandon Royval. So your thoughts here on just Saturday night as a whole. And first of all, we got to shout out Rovix. That guy, he's in a war every time out.
Yeah. Don't really know the longevity there, but you know, we knew that would at least deliver out of anywhere. Got the Woo Wednesday. What up, Kev? Yeah, you know, if we're gonna jump off with the Apex, I don't want to say it was like really the low of the weekend, but you know, we did have like the PFL on Friday that was entertaining. BKFC absolutely delivered as well. But you know, the Apex, we kind of always like know the environment ain't gonna be there, but sure enough, the fights will end up like delivering in the end. The main event specifically, it just kind of reinforced this really should not have happened. You know, it definitely looked like Park was in way over his head.
Yeah, you're gonna fight a guy like that on 7 days' notice, 5 days' notice is just not. You know what I mean? Shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, but you know, definitely like the post-fight interview and stuff. It all kind of lined up because he definitely looked like you know, a young up-and-coming possible championship contender. I really don't want to put too much into that performance because right when it started, it just looked like Park was way over his head. So, you know, he absolutely had the performance he needed to like kind of still be in that conversation. Found it a little bit comical that he thinks he can beat Josh Van, but we'll let that slide, especially when, you know, who was Josh Van's last opponent? It was the guy that was able to beat him,
and on short notice.
Yeah, and but you know, all that being said, throw that out. Absolutely, you know, he looked like he improved from the last fight. It definitely seemed to be an emotional win for him. He definitely seemed to be happy to get back into the win column there, and you know, he definitely made short work of Park there. So he made the right move in calling out. Definitely with how this division moves, I definitely think he is going to be a player in the division. And he probably has a right to next. But at the same time, with how stacked flyweight is, I really wouldn't mind him getting one more in a, you know, unshort notice opponent. It's really a shame that the fight fell out in the first place, because I think that would have taught us a lot more of kind of where he was and stuff. But, you know, we kind of got what we got and it went through. But you kind of led off with it. The highlight of the night was definitely the co-main event there for the Apex. But, you know, it's a decent thing to kind of quench the appetite. Same thing with this weekend before we get into the following Saturday, which is absolutely going to fucking matter. And it's going to be the longest 10 days of my life. So can't wait for that.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about some other things UFC wise here in just a minute. But again, shout out Rovix. Like, that guy is just, I mean, he doesn't know how to be in not how to be in a war. Like in this time, he fell short in a decision loss there. But Bobby, you mentioned we had PFL finale on Friday, so why not make the call here and reach out to our good friend, Mr. Donn Davis. Donn, welcome back. Welcome back. How's things been? I'm sure you're happy with the product that was put out Friday night.
Absolutely. Good to be back. Good to be seen. Good evening to both of you. And yes, could not be happier with the results of last weekend. PFL World Tournament 8. What do you guys think?
I thought it was great. I think you have a star here in, I believe it's Thad Jean, right?
Thad Jean.
Thad Jean, yes. Thank you.
Another one of these guys who came up through the Donn Davis Contender Series and is looking at the Champions League any minute now. You know, he's a champion, and we saw him tested, and I think the sky's the limit. You know, it was a nightmare matchup for him, and I think we got a lot of questions answered.
Yeah. It seems like so. What's next for him? Is he now fighting the title winner, or what's next for Thad here?
Well, the off season. First off, it's got to rest up. That is how this goes, and no fight has been announced yet, but stay tuned.
Okay. So he's just, what's the off season like? How long is that going to be for him?
Well, I really should know that off the top of my head, and having a bit of a brain fart here. I want to say 4 months.
Okay.
Let's pull up
typical layoff.
Yeah, the idea there is have a regular season and give these athletes time to recover from the tournament format, as well as pepper in the ongoing international events and special events like the Champions League that we saw in Cape Town after the PFL Africa debut.
Speaking of Cape Town, Donn, we didn't get to talk to you after Cape Town, but I got to ask, there's been reports that people of the PFL are celebrating the demise of Mr. Johnny Eblen.
Okay. Who'd you hear that from? Does his name rhyme with Burial? Because, look, were there strong emotions after that end to a fight that Johnny was dominating 5 rounds, minus 7 seconds? Yeah, we were surprised. It was a big moment for the PFL in general. Were we happy that any one fighter lost? No. That's not what we do. And believe me, it seems like a week doesn't go by where people don't tag me and say, Donn, just matchmake. Don't do these tournaments. We're tired of it. We just want to see the big fights. Well, that would mean that we are invested in one fighter winning or losing. But no, we are focused on merit. And you've asked me before if we care about making the big fights. And I said, no, not entirely.
So you go ahead, Bobby. You got a question?
If I could jump in here for 1 minute, Donn, and I definitely respect the format of the tournament. It's absolutely improved with the single elimination, a lot more, palatable for the stomach and stuff. But jumping back with that Gene here, I think it would be a travesty to not have him fight in the next 4 months. And, we have not seen Cedric Doumbé in a very long time. And my question to you would be, why not just make an event? You can put it in Doumbé's hometown. The crowd will be electric. And, I think Thad definitely wants to test himself against someone like that has, quote unquote, a very big name and a lot of hype behind him. And if I could make any recommendation, it would not make this another Dakota Ditcheva situation where you're waiting and waiting, wondering, like, you got to strike while the iron is hot. Now that we actually have some, need to want to see this guy again. So my recommendation would be try to, 4 months at the very max before he's booked again.
Kevin Holland Oates agrees. That would be agreed fight. And you've met Mr. Kevin Holland Oates in person there, Don, too. So
yes, no, and I do. I greatly respect Kevin's input here as well as Bobby. I think that is a fight that people would be excited about in 4 months. I think they'd be excited about it in a year. So, it would be great to have them fight. What would they be fighting for other than our entertainment? That's one question, right? Thad is now coming off of the 2025 championship. He will most likely, as it stands now, re-enter the tournament because that is what we like to do with our tournament champions. I see Bobby's having a reaction to this. Look, could we have a one-off event somewhere in the world to highlight a big single matchup? Yeah, possibly. We've got to fill that card. But why stop there? Why don't we lobby Congress to make laws to have a united MMA league so that if Cedric, wins that fight and becomes an even bigger star, he can't go anywhere. Why stop there? So, look, we do things our own way. I really do believe, that would be the fight to make in 4 months. If the cards fall that way, that would be great. But I think the slow build, I don't think that fight's going anywhere. And yes, Dakota, I'm going to respond to that sneak diss you put in there. Dakota was not fighting enough, and she made that right. That was some tough business that she and her team pulled. In that, one of the only fighters, most likely in mixed martial arts, who has that type of guaranteed schedule. So,
congratulations on re-signing her, by the way.
Thank you. I thought that's what we'd be opening with. No, I'm kidding. We are excited. It was a serious undertaking. I've said it. I think every time I'm on your show, a good deal means both sides are a little bit uncomfortable, and that was true there. They had big things that they needed on their end, and we have a big bill to pay. So we are looking forward to keeping the face of the PFL, Dakota Ditcheva, and I think Thad will get there as well. It's important to remember, as exciting as that win is, and as high as his ceiling is, just how early he is in his mixed martial arts career. So I think the Cedric fight is a great fight. I don't think it's going anywhere. And, we are going to protect the format and protect both fighters, honestly, to make it at the right time, to have the right card around them, and to get both of them on the biggest platform possible. And, we have a lot more help. You guys always ask, how are we going to pay for this? And in the past, I've said, well, we're suing 14, 15 people. But now we also have, as you mentioned Dubai, we have Sheikh Mohammed bin Maktoum bin Juma Al Maktoum on board. And he is going to help greatly, not just with financing, but also with making those professional connections in that region. So there could be something there. I'm not breaking any news other than, confirming the broken news of Artem Lobov joining the PFL. But no, nothing yet with that. It's the off season is as much physical as it is mental. He has that time to go on vacation, to enjoy his win, to heal up, and not be, worried. Oh, they want me to fight Hamzat, but I'm hiking in the woods. I guess it's not happening. He can go out and have an off season and enjoy himself. as well as Cedric. Go ahead,
Donn. Just a couple things here. You talked about sticking to the format and not doing one-offs, but you just kind of did a one-off in Cape Cod. Like, why don't you just do a one-off here and book the best fights? And to kind of go back to the Cape Cod, Johnny Eblen has called for pretty much an immediate rematch. Your thoughts on that, and if that's in the works?
Van Steen is mentally broken. No, I can't say that. I can't say that as the president of this league.
Did you say he's mentally broken?
I think that's a crazy thing for him to have said. It's I think, what was he saying? Like, you got to be a man to give me this rematch. You come on, buddy. It's let him have his moment in the sun. And that's another fight where, if they both come off a win or a loss, does that fight get any less exciting? I think people forget, this is a sport in terms of, what have you done for me lately? And the fan base is passionate. They always want, these big, exciting fights when they want them, but there are more factors at play. And, are we going to book the Johnny Eblen rematch next? No, absolutely not. I cannot confirm fights are happening. I can confirm fights are not happening. That is crazy. But I'm not ruling it out. And I like I said, no one at PFL was necessarily overjoyed that he lost, but at the same time, we're happy for Van Steenis. It was an incredible win. And yeah, it's not as though he was dominating that fight. It's
so
7 seconds left, not the cloth from which he is cut. Go ahead.
One might say, Donn, because you're not going to give a guy who was a long-standing champion, especially a Bellator guy, and Johnny Eblen, because maybe you don't like him and you're glad you don't have to deal with him anymore.
Now, I can't comment on that, but it's immediate versus rematch. Those are two different things. I think. Well, just to go back to your earlier point, the PFL Africa Cape Cod card was not a one-off, so to speak. It was the Champions League. So those are champion versus champion. This is where I'm coming from. Yeah, it's Cedric is a big star. He does not have a tournament regional belt yet, and we don't just make up belts. It'd be cool to give him the mattress belt or something and have them compete for that. But
didn't you guys just make up a belt on the last Cape Cod card?
No.
Oh, okay.
Those were real deal champions.
Oh, okay.
Facing each other, and they won those against the toughest competition.
Okay.
But so it's I don't get why people are so confused about having a global league full of interconnected regional belts that are won as a result of championships that are at the end of a tournament which reset every year, and then having those champions eventually go on to meet in a Champions League series of one-off events in places like Cape Cod, South Africa.
Donn, I'm going to tell you like my old basketball coach used to tell me all the time. It's called KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. So I think that's where you got too much going on. It's like looking at geometry, and I'm not very good at geometry. So I'd rather just do 2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah, if I could actually
2 + 2 doesn't equal 4.
Or nicer way, the tournament is designed for you guys to build stars. Now that you have built a star, I don't see the point in icing said star, because another tournament takes an entire year. Why not give that guy the fights that he wants to make him a superstar?
Okay, I hear you. I pulled up Cedric's record here. So he last fought in May. Can't forget the toe injury.
Splinters can last a long time.
Yeah, that was oh my goodness. No, he's not fought this year. You're right. It's tricky, right, with selling tickets. Like I said, it's to have Cedric on a card. It's a big promotion, but I think we could get there. We could get there. It's as much as yes, we have the most elaborate and clear structure, as you all have referred to in MMA. We are also the most flexible. We are the most receptive to fans making valid points and getting what they want. So, there could be a world. Do I think, Cedric and Thad, what we don't like to do in PFL is have a pointless card underneath one big event, right? That's kind of our competitors' model. You look at some of these cards the past couple of weeks, it's one good fight, and a bunch of other fights that are happening. And we like everything to have stakes. That is what's so fun about the tournament. So if we can find a way to make that happen, be it in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, wherever, and we have, like I said, more support in those regions, there could be a path to getting what we want as far as the tournament itself and some big blockbuster fights.
Don, can I be frank with you? Can I be honest with you? I feel like you're just a lot tonight. Just seems like you're dancing around a lot of things, like you tap dancing. You're one of us, Don. You're a regular here on H&H. Like you're supposed to, this is your home. This is where you're supposed to just shoot us straight. You're talking to Bodkins and Mr. Bobby Blunts here, and I just feel like tonight you're just kind of dancing around things, like instead of just being a straight shooter.
Well, listen, I get in trouble sometimes when I come on this show. Cedric Doumbé versus Thad Jean.
Who are you getting in trouble with, Don? Is Coach on your ass? Is that the problem?
Coach Man has damn near locked me out of my Twitter because of when I come on here and say how I really feel.
And praise Adolf. The last time.
Yeah, that made hanging out with Russell Brand look great in comparison. No, so I've given you one soundbite that I personally don't like Johnny Eblen. And that's not going to go over well. But,
thanks, Don.
In an ideal world, why not have, another event in Paris? We still owe them one, right? That's partly why Cedric has not fought in so long. That was a big, kerfuffle. There is, I can admit, there is something kind of confusing about having someone win a championship belt and then suddenly they're not a champion again. Suddenly they're just back in the tournament. And, it was slightly different when it was not the single elimination, but I don't think a PFL Paris card supporting PFL Europe headlined by Cedric versus Thad is a bad idea. I'm not announcing that. Okay. No fake news here, but is that something we could consider targeting? Yeah, absolutely. Both fighters want it.
You fly me and Bobby Blunts to France, and since it was our idea.
Absolutely. You, Bobby, Wits invited Kev, hop on the jet. We will be there.
Don, you talked about Twitter, and I got to ask you, I don't know who's running the PFL market team, but shout out to my guy, Brown sent me this morning. And even though he's a crappy White Sox fan, still a good guy. You're a Cubs fan, Don. We ride together. But
That's true.
sent me this picture here, and it's got who's next for Maulid, and I'm going to butcher his last name, but you know who I'm talking. Kabulov. Who's next for him? And I find it funny that my guy, Mr. Hughes, is on this format here because they want Kulov to maybe move to 155 and fight Hughes. The only fight Hughes should be fighting is Nurmagomedov.
It's already been agreed, dude. We're good. Khabib leaked it. So
Is that true?
Bobby gets his news from RT, and he believes things that Khabib says. You know, he believes that Islam is going to be fighting in October. So, no, I'm not confirming that. There is, you know, you guys, I've made my point already of do rematches that absolutely make sense on paper, that the fan base is clamoring to see, always need to happen on the schedule, that the fans expect them and want them to happen. No. So that is up in the air. And yes, Movlid Khabulaev is a two-time now champion. And I think our social media team kind of cooked here because it's starting dialogue. It's putting it in people's heads. Hey, PFL can have two weight division champions as well. And, you know, I don't like to talk about ongoing business matters that our deal's trying to get done, but Paul Hughes has never been the problem, okay, in getting this fight done. If you want to talk about how to not handle a loss, Johnny Eblin, you can talk about how to not handle a win, right, with Nurmagomedov. Because, sure, he said the right things in the cage immediately after getting humbled somehow in a, you know, close victory. But, you know, there are fighters who would immediately be pounding on the door of the PFL office, say, hey, let's run this back as soon as possible. That was, you know, the best fight that your promotion's ever put on, and I want to put a stamp on it. I'm not happy with walking away like that. So, you know, Khabib can say whatever he wants. Yeah, it's.
Be careful, Don. This isn't the Ariel Helwani show. We don't tolerate Khabib slander here.
So Donn, are you saying we're not any closer to Nurmagomedov and Paul Hughes fighting?
It's never going to happen. All right, that's the truth.
Oh,
look what you did, Bakken.
But yeah. Don, that's the best fight your promotion's ever had, arguably.
Well, it's always going to be there. Okay.
So you're subscribing to Paul Heyman's. Yes, you just make the audience keep waiting. The more they wait, the more they're going to want it more.
Now, that's a guy who I can get behind emulating. Yes, absolutely. Okay. You know, these fights are never going to go away. These fighters are only getting younger, okay? And that rivalry is just going to brew and brew. Okay, imagine this. Hughes doesn't fight Nurmagomedov. You get who I'm trying to say. He doesn't fight him. And he goes, I already beat that guy. You know, he takes that tack. Because I can see a turn where Hughes reminds me a bit of Tom Aspinall in the sense of super respectful. He's not going to talk shit. But if you poke him and poke him and poke him, eventually he's going to, you know, fire back. And you know, if you recall, Aspinall early on, super respectful to Jones. And then at a point, he's like, this guy's scared of me, you know? And so how do you think Paul Hughes is feeling? So imagine this. He doesn't immediately fight Nurmagomedov, and Movlid moves up and fights him in a massive event. You know, Khabulaev coming off what I would say is the new best fight in the PFL. And we've been getting a lot of them, okay? He matches up with Hughes. We see how that plays out. How much, win or lose, how much bigger is the Nurmagomedov fight going to be now? You don't think Ireland is going to want to see that?
Oh, well, I think they already want to see it, Don. And that's the thing is like, what? Here's a pretty picture for you. What if Hughes loses? He slips on the banana peel, or what if, more importantly, what if he gets hurt, tears out? What if he trips over a cord like Tony Ferguson here?
And not only that, he's one of Khabib's guys, so I don't see any possible way that he would take Usman's fight from him, because I know Usman's willing to take that. I mean, you can play all coy with me, but I know there are things that are agreed to, and that fight is happening. And I will go out on a limb to say it is the most anticipated fight for me to look forward to in the PFL. But that's me saying it, Don, not you, so you won't get in trouble.
Well, I appreciate that you're excited for it if it were to ever happen. I am not going to break kayfabe, and I'm not going to kill the anticipation of this amazing fight. But if you want to talk about loyalty, and Team Khabib is never going to do that, why don't you call up Bilal Muhammad? Remember that? Oh, we never fight him. Meanwhile, he's basically taking the M&Ms from JDM, going, "Hey, buddy, you got to make this happen." Okay. That's not confirmed either, but it's basically confirmed.
You're right. You're right. Real quick on Khabib. So does he have to re-enter the tournament now to fight Paul Hughes? How does that work out? I'm confused.
Yeah, look, he's done it 2 years in a row. And I was glad to be in there with him when he won. And keep in mind, for him to face Hughes, that would be a type of special event regardless, because they are in different weight classes.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, but I didn't know if Kopylov had to, drop down to 155 and then enter the tournament, or how that works out. Or
it
go
looked
up,
great seeing that PFL belt on Khabib. So you should definitely use that in video packages.
Absolutely. Yeah. God rest his soul. This was Father's plan. 2 PFL belts.
Okay. All right. Bob, you got any other questions for Donn Davis before he gets out of here?
No, I think I more or less kind of covered it all. I appreciate
no questions about Artem
the
Lobov?
answers, even if it was, a little tongue-in-cheek. But, always appreciate the honesty.
Thank you. I can't believe you guys don't want to talk about Artem Lobov. 165, making the debut. Will he come back? Will he won't? That's a big fight.
My last
we got some
question.
breaking news coming this week too. I can't break it here, but listen to keep your ears to the Twitter.
Why can't you break it here, Don? We're best friends. We just talked about this. You can break the news here.
Breaking news. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Martin Buday is coming to the PFL. It's happening. Okay, it's gonna be in all the news feeds tomorrow. That's if this doesn't break it, I know we're pretty late here on the East Coast, but yes, he was not hiding it well on Ariel's show this week, and I can now confirm officially Martin Buday will be making his PFL debut early 2026. And talk about super fights. I am interested to see how he matches up with the big man Francis Ngannou.
Okay. Yeah, can't wait. Martin Buday, who just got cut from the UFC, is now headed to the PFL.
One last thing for me, if you could possibly contact Francis and give him an offer sheet, I think you should go off the PFL Cape and see if you can get him to sign a fight to face Corey Anderson.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. If Buday needs to get one fight under his belt to sort of see how he handles the PFL spotlight, see if he's got the smart octagon jitters, I think that'd be great. I do just want to clarify, not cut from the UFC, did not re-sign him. So
that. You're right. You're right.
That actually does slightly explain, how could they not, why would they cut this guy? Well, they didn't. They didn't re-sign him. And that's because he wasn't interested in re-signing with an organization that was making him walk around on eggshells. He wanted to come to the big show, the PFL, and get the big paycheck, okay, against a heavyweight champion who is the lineal MMA heavyweight champion. And listen, I wish all the best for Tom. I do still think the co-promotion of Tom versus whoever the heavyweight champion is in the PFL is still not out of the question. But guy's got to get more active. And I know it's not entirely his fault, but Francis is active as it can be anyway. And that's going to change. He's very active, Bodkins. Why are you giving me that face? He's been going through a lot. I said active as it can be. Okay.
He hasn't fought in like a year almost.
A tragedy. He
fought after that already. We saw that.
There are many factors at play. Anyway, listen.
Okay. All right.
I like
I
Corey
can't wait to
Anderson.
see him and Martin Buday. At the heavyweight fight I've been waiting for my whole life.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of want to see Buday in the tournament. But
I think he'd be great. Yeah. No, listen, it takes a different kind of beast to get through these tournaments. And, now that you guys put it in my head, I kind of like Khabib at the lightweight tournament.
You're welcome. Don, real quick, last question for you before you get out of here. What's next for Dakota? She, like, who do you have in the PFL that can give this woman? Seems like she's on the Kayla Harrison path here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, who should she fight? One bitched out, right? It's supposed to be her versus Stamp Fairtex. I think that might be the most compelling matchup she has right now. And Chatri, get your shit together. Where are you at?
Amen.
Yeah, my recommendation would be it does not matter who her opponent is. Just get her booked more consecutively. I know the contract will take care of that because you gave her some reinsurances. So hats off for doing that. And just get her back in. I know she broke her hand, so it will take a little bit of time. But whenever she's cleared, build an event around her.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I personally think that her versus Alexa Grasso, Aaron Blanchfield, Jasmine Jazadovicius would all be great matchups, really.
Well, listen, trade Johnny Eblin for Rose Namajunas.
Would you do that, Don? Would you call the phone and ask for a trade?
I would trade Johnny Eblin for Jasmine Jazadovicius. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I'm serious about. I'm trying to see now when the last time Stamp fought in MMA, because I know she goes between. Good God! I just pulled up Stamp's Tapology. You want to guess how many canceled bouts she's had in a row? I'm already tipping. I'm already tipping that there are multiple in a row. It's unbelievable.
4 in a row.
4 in a row. Yep. Since March 1st, consecutively. One of this is the same opponent 3 times. Not that makes it that much better. And there are 2 opponents in there. That is unbelievable. I wouldn't be. I don't know what she has to do to get out of this draconian contract, but look at RDR, right? He did it. If she needs to go fight in some, in Fight Circus, something, get her out of the contract and then come to PFL, I think that would be fantastic. I think we would give her the matchup and support that she needs.
Here's what I think you should do, Don. You call the UFC. You say, "Hey, I will trade you Johnny Eblin for Rose Namajunas," and then you get her husband Barry to fight at heavyweight, and you do him versus Francis for your PFL heavyweight championship, and Rose versus Dakota. You're welcome, Don.
Okay, so you want to trade one scumbag for another scumbag and then get Rose Namajunas in there? Listen, I think Pat Barry, if he's going to go anywhere, he should go to Dirty Boxing. Okay, and no disrespect to Dirty Boxing, I just want to see, Biggie Boy put Suriname on the map, because I think that's how that would go.
I just think Francis and Pat Barry. I think that's a fair fight. That's a good fight.
I think the only way Johnny Eblin leaves the PFL, and that cannot happen fast enough, as far as I'm concerned, is just signing with someone else. I don't think you can't trade a shoelace for a gold nugget.
Okay. You're the man, Don. We appreciate you. Thanks again. We'll be watching some PFL. You're the best, Don.
Thanks for having me. Glad to break some news. Always good to be here.
All right. Thanks, Don. You're the man. So to recap, Bobby, Don hates Johnny Eblin, and Boom Day, or whatever his name is, getting ready to sign for the PFL.
Yeah, I don't think he hates him. I think he's just, being a tough negotiator and trying to make deals. So, I'm sure.
I don't know. They call him a scumbag, so.
Yeah, but, that, that really not coming back from that one.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, I called it PFL Cape Cod. It's not what it's called. It's called something else. What was it called? I called it Cape Cod or something. I don't know.
It's Cape Town.
Oh, Cape Town. I kept saying Cape Cod.
Yeah, that I didn't even catch that till just now.
Kevin caught it. Kevin caught it. He said Cape Cod, my favorite African city. So Cape Town, Cape Cod, whatever. Same difference, what's the difference these days? Yeah, so I mean, good information. Good information from Donn Davis there. So Bobby, we were kind of talking about. I wanted to get back to last Saturday real quick because we talked about Taira winning and he kind of talking shit on Josh Van. Steve Irsay, he said Pantoja's going to wipe the floor with Josh Van. Has no chance.
Well, all due respect to Steve, but I don't think he knows what the fuck he's talking about. Yeah. I will say I do. After watching that fight on Saturday, I think Irsay would have had just an easy time beating Park. I kind of felt that going in when the matchup was made. And what I saw, it just seemed like, Park jumped into the deep end real quick. But at the same time, if there's anyone that has the right to comment on who can beat Pantoja or who can't, it probably would be the guy that got the closest to doing it. Yeah. So I could see that. But at the same time, Irsay's a quiet man, but he's very good at, talking that shit. So, yeah, no shade to him there. All the credit to him. I'm sure we'll get into the breakdown of that co-main event there. But, the flyweight is probably one of the most interesting divisions in the UFC.
It is. I think it's exciting. You got a lot of young talent, you got a lot of young guys, and it's right now you got maybe the second greatest flyweight as the champion.
Yeah, and he's getting very close to lapping that spot. I mean, I think Mighty Mouse doing streaming with Death Stream or Death or whatever, kind of, I think he's starting to feel it. And I think DJ does wish that he had a little bit more prime competition in his day compared to like what Pantoja has. But, Pantoja is not there yet. But if he keeps winning, sky's definitely the limit.
For sure. Real quick, I also wanted to, we kind of mentioned this at the top, or maybe we talked about it a little off air. So today it was announced multiple things here, and I should have asked Donn about this as well, and I meant to, I just didn't get to it about the PFL's playing with ESPN. But so in the last 24 hours, you could say ESPN has now announced that they are purchased. Like them and NFL have got a deal pretty much. They bought the Red Zone, going to have a lot of NFL Network stuff going on there. And then you wake up this morning, WWE, which is, owned by TKO, their PLEs are going to be moving to ESPN as well. And it's funny because we just talked to like UFC is in negotiations with ESPN, Netflix, and whatnot to go where, and I think today solidifies with WWE going to ESPN, that UFC is going to stay at ESPN.
I think the biggest piece of the pie will definitely be there. I can still see Netflix being in play to take like some of these special events and stuff, like maybe Noche and the supposed White House card that everyone can't shut the fuck up about, but especially like you hit it completely right. If anyone thinks that the UFC is leaving ESPN after that deal, I find it pretty comical because especially, they even commented, TKO said they could have, got more elsewhere, but they realized the significance in being connected to Disney and being on ESPN just for everything, being shown. And they literally said they want to put the entertainment back in the ESPN because that's what it's, the entertainment sports network. So it is not that shocking once you saw it go down. Like there was definitely the wow factor of it happening, especially if you go back to,
I think most people were concerned, right? Because like You got everybody's like, oh, they're going to launch this new app, so everybody thinks the PLEs are going to be $30. But from what my understanding is that it's not going to be $30. If you have ESPN, you're going to get everything on the app already. If you already have a regular ESPN through whoever you have it through.
Yeah, they don't want more people cutting off the cable cord than they already had. So I think that is a reason they had to do it. I also think it's a big reason they got the number that they got. And if you would ask me a month ago, I actually think we had this exact conversation. I didn't think there was any chance that the UFC would move off the pay-per-view model, mainly because, you have your fans trained to give $80 a month. Why would you stop that? But after seeing this deal today, I'm definitely at more of a maybe. I do think it is a possibility that they take all those number cards and maybe just put them on ESPN. And, I know they'll be kind of paid for it there. And I think definitely a lot changed today for the possibility of not it being removed from a paywall, because obviously thered still be a cost with ESPN and everything.
But not if you already have the ESPN, though. Like if you already say, like, I have Hulu Live and I already have ESPN, from my understanding is I'm not going to have to pay extra.
Yeah. The $29.99 is more of if you're kind of a new subscriber coming over, like all the people going to Peacock. But the people that have cable and stuff will be able to still see all those events. And that's why I think it's the biggest game changer of that also being a possibility for the UFC number cards. Like, I don't want to call them pay-per-views because, that's kind of up in the air now. But like 2 weeks ago, I would have said, no, they're staying with ESPN solely to be able to do pay-per-view. And now I think it definitely could be a scenario where, they just want to get the most eyeballs on their sport. And ESPN would definitely be that move because, I mean, to me, the WWE is the small fish in the pond of what they did. The fact that they got Red Zone and the NFL Network, that's going to open up a lot of things. It's going to pain me that I'm going to be forced to watch an NFL draft on ESPN. Hopefully the first thing they do is fire Mel Kiper. And,
I watch the McAfee cast. That's what I do.
Yeah, well, they're not taking that away from you, but at the same time, you see the move with Pat and stuff, and it kind of paved the way for this to happen because they're figuring, they're cutting kind of all the dead weight. And they're bringing in more kind of influencers and stuff to represent the company. I think that is going to be extremely detrimental in the media aspect of ESPN. But, no one has really considered them a serious news-breaking organization for a long time with, you just got Stephen A. Smith yelling at people and stuff. So that part probably isn't good for the media. I mean, you saw Triple H was talking about the Brock Lesnar thing, and no one wanted to even dare to break kayfabe on that. So that's going to have some effects. But at the end of the day, I think the fans will be kind of satisfied with where it goes. Because at first I thought the UFC was going to be put on like 5 or 6 different networks like the NFL is. Now I think there's a decent chance that we're going to get 80% of the pie on ESPN, and then the other 20% will go to Netflix, for those specialty cards or whatever you want to call them.
So I'm going to push back on what you were saying just for a second. I actually disagree with the fact that we're going to get that it's not going to. I think that we're going to get it's still the pay-per-views for UFC are still going to be behind a paywall. Because it now had they gone to Netflix, which I don't think so, right? I don't think they would. That's not going to be a behind a paywall. But because of its ESPN, I think, and they've already been ESPN, they've established the paywall. They will do that. The PLEs, nonetheless, like for WWE, Like there is not really a paywall. Like you're not paying extra. You paid $10 for the app, right? And when it first came out, the network, and then when it moved to Peacock, you paid whatever that subscription was for the whole Peacock subscription, right? And then plus, so you were getting a bunch of extra stuff. So like I don't think like just because it's on ESPN now, I don't think they're gonna put that behind a paywall. Like they're not, but I could still see the UFC saying, no, we're still going to be a paywall. Like we've been doing that. Now, if they were going to go to Netflix, I don't think you were going to get a paywall. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I think I stay at ESPN. I think they'll continue to be a $80 paywall.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think that's more likely what is going to happen.
Yeah.
The only reason
I now think that's more likely what's going to happen than I didn't. When the contract ended, maybe I just hoped that they would go to Netflix and it wouldn't be behind a paywall. But like my dad always used to tell me, shit in one hand and hope in the other. Tell me which one fills up faster.
Yeah, but my main point I was getting at is when you originally said that, I didn't think there was a chance in hell of that happening.
Yeah.
But after seeing this deal today, I'm kind of Motel 6 in it. I'm leaving the light on. I think there might actually.
I'm the opposite. I'm turning the light off, baby.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, it probably will be, and they probably will still tax us. But I for some reason, I'm just a little bit more optimistic about it possibly being pulled off. When if you would ask me this 24 hours ago, there would have been no scenario where I would have said that. So, but yeah, it's, going to be very interesting to see what happens. There's just a few months to go. And I do think the WWE deal getting done was kind of the anvil that had to fall for this to all get ironed out with the UFC's part of the TKO deal.
Agreed. And Nick Khan's doing both, right? He's the negotiator for both. So, I think he'll be. I think they'll stay at ESPN. Disney will run damn near everything soon.
And then I saw they're going away from the Hulu app is more or less going to be non-existent.
Oh shit!
Down the line, it's going to like pretty much be like the Hulu and Disney and ESPN merger. Like that is going to be on one app. From my understanding.
Oh, well, I already got that. That's what I have.
Good. Then you are set to enjoy life.
Okay. So I should be okay, hopefully. Real quick, I wanted to get your thoughts on DDP because we talked about that card. It's going to be next Saturday. But he was on Ariel Helwani's show. Your thoughts on just what he was saying? He was kind of saying, hey, I'm going to be the boogeyman. They used to say I couldn't go the 5 rounds, but now look at me. Your thoughts on just kind of his overall take here?
If I wasn't already a 10 out of 10 excited for that fight, I mean, this just got me at completely full mast. I can't imagine the fact that I have to wait 10 days for this is going to be brutal. I mean, thank God I got some preseason football to take my mind off it. We got some preseason UFC practically in the Apex. I mean, the fights on their own will be good, but the interview really just solidified why I have been so excited for this. And, I've been going back and forth with it every day on which way I'm going to go. I've never cared less about being correct on a pick in my life. Like as long as the fight happens, it, and at this point I feel pretty strong about it. I just cannot wait for that to happen. Like I could have done a whole hour talking about that fight this week and then still talked about it next week for an entire hour. Chimaev has also been doing some interviews and he equally has just been like, I wish I was like Adam Sandler and Click and I could just, fast forward and get to it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And we'll break that fight down next week. So I can't wait. But let's look just real quick at this week's glorious Apex card. It's not bad. It's your typical Apex card. You got two ranked middleweights in Roman Dolidze and Anthony Hernandez going at it. Hernandez, a pretty heavy favorite here at minus 350. He's been pretty active. The aforementioned Steve Urseg and his about fifth opponent change, I feel like, in this fight. O'Day Osborne. Steve is a huge favorite, minus 600. Andre Fili's on this card. Eric Andros versus Christian Leroy Duncan is on this card. My guy, I got to shout out to Missouri's own, Springfield own, Julius Walker, Missouri's own, heavy favorite here at minus 700, 6-1. So I'll be rooting for my guy from Missouri and Julius Walker. But Cody Brundridge on this card as well. So
he's opening the card. That should be good.
Yeah, he's the curtain jerker. Your thoughts here on the main event and maybe the co-main real quick.
I mean, my thoughts on the co-main is it's pretty baffling that Urseg had to have 3 opponent changes for them to actually give him a winnable fight. So, I'm definitely not counting O'Day out. He always shows up his game, but I'm much happier that they're doing this type of matchup compared to what they were originally doing. So that should definitely be a decent co-main. I mean, it easily just as well could have headlined, but I'm pretty excited about the main event. Fluffy has been on a roll, but I do think Delice is kind of the perfect opponent to give him, because the one thing I've always questioned with Fluffy is just his gas tank with the 5 rounds and stuff. And I think Delice is a perfect opponent to kind of show us what we got with him. So it's about as acceptable as main event as we're going to get for an Apex. So I definitely, don't want to spit at it and think it will be good. But I'd be lying to you if I still just don't have Chimaev and Dricus in the back of my mind. Well, at least we only got one more week in that. And every time they're going to advertise that fight on this weekend card, I'm going to die a little inside. I'm going to be like, stop fucking edging us. We are here. I've already pre-ordered it. Let's get this going. But, we only got one more card to it. And I think it's going to be built to be semi-entertaining. The Tapology picks aren't going to be anywhere near as painful as last week. But, even last week's card, those sleeper cards that we always dismiss end up being, somewhat enjoyable. So I'm expecting the same out of this weekend's Apex for sure.
Yeah, real quick, Michael's saying, imagine Eblin versus DDP. There was a time where people were going to sign up for that because people thought Eblin was a top 10 middleweight, Michael.
I wonder who Donn Davis would pick in that fight.
Yeah, he'd probably pick DDP. You mentioned Anthony Fluffy Fernandez here. Hernandez has not lost since 2020 when he lost to Kevin Holland. So since then, it's like a 7-fight win streak here. So he's been on a nice run. Roman Dolidze is he's on a nice run too. 3-fight winning streak. So and one of those was even at light heavyweight when he beat Anthony Smith. So last time out had a unanimous decision against Marvin Vettori earlier this year to revenge one of his losses. So this is a guy who had a majority decision loss to Imanov. So he's a guy that's this is a very intriguing fight. On Saturday night. 2 guys who are trying to really make a claim and climb that, getting that top tier in the middleweights.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got Nixick in his corner too. So even if he gets over his head in the first round or something, I got full confidence that he'll bounce back and it will be a competitive fight.
Who you like to win?
I'm probably going to have to still stick with Fluffy, but the more and more I go back on it, actually, I could actually see Delice getting it done. And especially with you know, pointing out there with Imanov. What's the line on that one?
Plus, so Dolidis is definitely worth a squeeze at plus 270.
A little bit under a 3-1.
Yeah.
No, I would expect Fluffy to be able to definitely grind out a decision, but at the same time, I could absolutely see Delice coming alive in the later rounds and being able to get a decision on his side. I don't anticipate a finish really from either guy just because they're both so game and they're going to come prepared. But at the same time, every time I think it's going to be a decision, we get a finish. So who knows? But yeah, I'll go probably Fluffy here for the gavel.
Yeah, Michael says Donn would pick Iron Turtle to beat Johnny Eblen.
Yeah, Don's gonna get himself in trouble if he keeps, having those opinions.
Give me Fluffy as well. I think it's gonna be a good fight. Both guys, 15-3 for Roman Dolidis, 14-2 for Anthony Hernandez.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's not a main event I would sneeze at, and both of them have fought in the Apex so many times. You kind of wish they could have took this on the road, but you get it. The following week will be the main treat, but this should be, a good little appetizer to get us hyped up for a incoming week of violence.
Definitely. All right, my man. Bob, before we get out of here, you got anything else you need to talk about?
Not that I think we covered it all there, Yeah, I mean, if I talk about anything else, I'll just keep rambling on about Chimaev and Dricus there. So
save it for next week.
I will. I'll keep it in.
All right, my man. That does conclude this episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. Programming note: the boys will be doing Fall Start Thursday tomorrow night. They'll be covering the AFC North. You can catch that right here. I won't be hosting. Sam's going to be holding down the fort, but I will be back with Bobby next Wednesday to talk about that Chimaev versus DDP. What is it, like UFC 320 maybe? 319?
320.
320. All right, thanks, Bobby. That's why you're the co-host, baby. UFC 320. We'll be talking about that. And real quick, Michael says, awesome. Congratulations to PFL for signing Bude. So can't wait to hopefully, that'll be Donn announced that. So we had some breaking news. Thanks a lot to Donn Davis, is the best. Always taking time out to talk about too. Yeah. Mike says here too, real quick, Cedric and Vershawn was made here on H&H. Yep. Yeah, it was. So hopefully Donn will listen to us one of these days.
Could you imagine if BKFC ends up signing him now, though? I hope they definitely get that done.
Yeah, we'll see. Other than that, for my guy Bobby Blunts, again, shout out to Donn Davis. We appreciate you taking the time. I'm Bod. It's been another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. We'll see you right back here next week for the preview UFC 320, baby. Bobby's dream fight.
Accurate.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.